Hey,
Hello.
hello.
We are coming back together in a little bit of a different setting today, but I'm excited to be able to have some of this conversation as a part of our Wednesday Unmasked meeting. It's our community support for individuals in recovery who also identify with neurodivergence.
Mhm.
And that is me.
And me.
Guys.
Me.
Um, And so I had this topic in mind today that I wanted to just hear. I was really curious, honestly, to hear some um, thoughts and feedback from you guys on it. Is the crossover of executive dysfunction, which is a big challenge for many of us with neurodivergence. It is a challenge in the prefrontal cortex where we have a hard time with things like time management and task planning and organization and focus and those types of things. And the crossover between that and the survival that comes up for us when we are in stress response. And for me, I think where that becomes so glaring in recovery is when I am trying to do the things that are supposed to work to regulate myself, and they're not working. I can't figure out why everybody else in the room seems okay. Why is the meditation not meditating me? And just wanted to see you guys' thoughts on how this overlap shows up for you in your experience of neurodivergence in recovery.
Well, first of all, I want a t-shirt that says, "Why is the meditation not meditating me?" Add that to our list.
Mm-hmm.
I think what comes up for me when you say that, like the first thing that comes up is when I am overstimulated, and that just triggers survival mode for me. Whether it's too hot, too noisy, too touchy, too whiny, too whatever. I have a body response of I can't breathe. And then my brain goes into I can't think. That prefrontal cortex shuts down. I go into survival mode, and it almost feels like a pseudo panic attack to me. And so my thought, and I don't know if this is the answer, but where my brain goes immediately is wondering if my neurospicy, because I already struggle with some of the executive dysfunction or executive functioning stuff, makes me more susceptible or sensitive to or easily pushed into that survival because I have more triggers that will cause me to go over into survival. So that's
Yeah.
probably more of a question than a answer, but
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. The idea of how sensitivity shows up, whether it's sensory or we've talked in this group before about a book called Scattered Minds, where Dr. Gabor Mate describes neurodivergence as having an emotional allergy, where it is just very reactive. Feelings become very reactive for those of us who are neurodivergent because we feel really big. And just a sensitivity in the way that our brains process those different types of input.
Yeah. It also makes me think of when we've talked about rejection sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
And so even not like a physical trigger or stimuli, but it's an emotional trigger or stimuli, and how much I know for me, even the slightest perception of a rejection, it doesn't have to actually be a rejection, but my husband making a weird face, I perceive it as a rejection and start to spiral. And then all of that executive functioning goes away. And I am full on limbic system survival, fawning, freezing, responding in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds like my yesterday, Jenn.
Yeah.
Yeah. husband walked through the living room on a conference call and looking at the kids, and I said something to him and he did not hear me, and I perceived that as rejection and went into fight.
Mhm.
I was ready to, and he was like, "What are you doing?
But you're not listening to me."
I didn't hear you." Yeah. And I wonder for you how this hits and what comes up for you with the idea of the overlap between executive dysfunction and survival and where it shows up for you in recovery.
Yeah. It feels like survival. I don't know that it could get any bigger. And for me, it feels like survival on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
The slightest thing that I need to do feels too big. And then I have judgment that I'm lazy because I can't do that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's this vicious cycle of, see, you can't even do the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 6 loads of laundry. Like it feels small, and then I judge myself for not doing something small because my reality is so distorted in that it's not small.
Yeah.
And so it usually takes me a little while before I can pick up on it because I'm so trying to get a deep breath. And that is usually when I pick up on it because I'm in freeze. And things just feel like this. It feels like they're piling up in front of me. And I can't, it's that paralysis that we talk about sometimes. But for me, it's the paralysis with the distorted perception and the judgment that just keeps me spinning in it because I don't have the executive functioning to say, okay, just do one thing at a time. I don't have it. Yeah.
Well, that makes me think of, Stacey, there was a while back early on when you first started the Unmasked group, you had like this Venn diagram with 3 circles,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the overlap was CPTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And so hearing what you're saying, Amber, that's my inner critic saying, well, you're lazy. You should have just done this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And how much my trauma response feeds into, and my codependency feeds into what's already happening in this mix of lack of executive function and like survival mode. And now my inner critic is coming in and it's just this big pile of mess. And then how do I get out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I think about it, that's where ADSing starts to show up. My daughter the other day said, "Mom, why are you cleaning everything? Why are you so obsessed with clean right now?" And I was like, "Well, I'm obsessed with clean always, but I'm not always very good at it because ADHD," and got defensive with my 6-year-old, which is my stuff. But it's because I was in survival and couldn't organize my way out of it because there were so many things, so many avenues, so many paths that could either be potentials or things that needed to be done, or I couldn't sort through it. And so I just set about doing minuscule, dumb tasks like walking through the house and finding fingerprints to clean and things that are irrelevant to the flow of the rest of what I need to happen for today. But my numbing and medicating was showing up. And for me, ADSing is a big avenue to that. When I don't know how to process, I just busybody my way through it.
For me, it's either shutting down and avoiding, and then that's where like the hyperfixation will come in, because then I will hyperfixate and numb with like Canva or some thing that has nothing to do with that mess that is the house. I wish I would go into ADSing and clean my house because then it would be clean. But it just feels so overwhelming that I just go into, I'm going to avoid, and I'm either going to shut down and sit on my phone, or I'm going to avoid, and I'm going to hyperfixate on a thing that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Unless it's my husband that makes a face, and the rejection makes me ADS, because then I start fawning. Because then he must be mad at me because the house is dirty, or the laundry is not done, or the dishwasher is full, or then I have to like fawn, and my ADSing is fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we come back to this place in Unmasked a lot where we work on developing the recognition of biology is not pathology. And even when they do Venn diagram and can look similarly, and that's a really tough space to be in. And it's not our fault that our brains are neurodivergent. It's not our fault that we process incoming information differently. But it is our responsibility to understand that about ourselves and work through what works for us to attend to it in recovery. Biology is not pathology, but it requires recovery behavior all the same. What do you guys see as the best outlet for you? What works the best for you in addressing when you notice that that stuff is coming up for you? When you notice that I am in survival and I'm having trouble putting 1 and 2 together to organize my way out of it. And I need the recovery behavior to support me with this. What comes up?
What comes up for me is number one, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I gotta slow down. Once I'm aware of what I'm doing, I need to pause and like call one of you guys. Usually I have to reach out to my safe people for some accountability and support. And breathe. Breathing helps.
Yeah, you mean what did I do yesterday? Ditto what Jenn just said, and it's what I say in CFR frequently is I gotta connect, because although I feel like I'm 100% connected with me, I'm not. I'm spinning and spiraling. And what supports my judgment, because what this sounds contradictory. Fortunately and unfortunately, I'm the only one that can decide I'm not crazy. And I don't give my power away anymore, which is helpful. However, I know that what I have to have in order to see with my true eyes rather than a distortion is I have to have it reflected back to me. What do you hear me saying? Like, I know I'm saying it, but I can't hear it. Can you? And it has to be my safe people that don't change it again and distort it again. It is this question of, do I sound crazy? But that's not the real question. It's, well, what I hear you saying, Am, is you're worried because of da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, I am. So for me, it's my safe people just reflect back to me. They don't try to fix me. They can feel that I'm in pain. And so it's never a judgment. It's oh, I say I'm spinning, but they realize that I'm spinning. And my connection is the way I come out of it, because it feels kind of like the whole, well, you can tell me I'm pretty all day long, but if I don't feel like I'm pretty, it doesn't matter. That's the same for crazy with me, because I was so distorted for so long in my life that without my executive functioning while I'm in survival, I just keep. So my safe people are the thing, what I have to do to come out of that.
Yeah. What about for you, Stace? What works for you?
I agree. I think it very much is a space where my thinking becomes distorted and my judgment becomes distorted. And that's my pathology, judging my biology. And attaching labels to it. And it does really frequently require me checking in with safe people to say, what am I doing? What should I be doing?
Mhm.
And getting the outside connection to people who know about me and know my heart and know my needs, but my ripples and my state of being and my dysregulation doesn't directly throw them off.
Yeah. Nobody's going to leave me because I have a feeling,
Yeah.
because I'm not 100%. I'm not perfect. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to leave me.
Or my feelings aren't triggers to them.
Mhm.
So they're able to meet me with objectivity around what's happening. Yeah.
It makes them safe.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for coming and jumping into this conversation today and jumping into Unmasked today.
Mhm. Thanks for having us.
I hope that was helpful.
It was for me.